Okay, so right. So it should be obvious by now, I think, but because of the stance of riding horse, so the 2 feet wider apart than normal, and the knees sort of going out. But what the legs are trying to do is just pull each side of its body into itself, so that there's a sense of the 2 sides of the body separating. So if you were to just, I mean, traditionally they would just stand like this for an hour or so. Not necessarily to strengthen the legs, because, you know, after a year or so of doing that, the legs are strong, but just to slowly effectuate this separation in the body. So what they're after all the time is what they call a soft strength. So it's a useful strength. And that sort of strength actually grows from the ground up, whereas sort of ego-based strength is from the head down. So it's like you've got this ruler up here that's telling things what to do. Now that works most of the time. But if you were in a fight, or if you had to suddenly use your energy very well and very quickly, then it would just really hinder you. So if you had to respond intuitively and spontaneously and immediately, then ego-based structures just really, really don't help at all. Okay, so now let's just try just sort of accentuating that sense of the 2 legs pulling apart. So just turn, so I'm just moving into this foot, I'm just turning to bring my arm out, like there's a big tree here, and I want to sort of just put my arm around it and embrace it. Yeah? So now I'm in this leg. Now what I want to do now is the same thing with this hand, but without pulling myself out of this leg too much. I still want a sense of presence here. So I just put an arm around this tree and back to here. And now I should feel that sort of almost tearing more clearly. So let's just try to just get into a rhythm with it. Yeah. So let's count with it. So just, first of all, let's just try and feel your heartbeat. Yeah. So just feel the rhythm of it. So 1, 2. So just you can test with your pulse. So basically seconds on the clock. Yeah. Okay, so now we'll just get in. We'll use that as the beat of the song, if you like, and just make a little exercise. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. left, and right, and left, right, left, right. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. And then just back to here. So the feeling is, for me anyway, that each sacroiliac joint, so each joint where the sacrum joins the hip bone, there's like a stream of energy that comes out, which is a bit like a wing or a tail. So when you do this, you're just bringing that wing around. So it's like a skirt. Yeah? So you're helping something that's coming out of the lower back just come around to the front, which is basically what ward off is. So ward off is just bringing the energy that's emitting from your back around to the front so that you can get it involved here. Yeah? Because the energy from the back is just bigger and more intuitive. So let's just try again and just feel that feeling that you're pulling something out of your joint here, just wrapping it around, like a tail or a skirt or a ribbon, like a ribbon hanging off. So you just turn here, it comes around, and then here, 1 and 2 and 3. Get there. 2. So it's just a figure of 8, really. So the mathematical term for figure of 8 is just lemniscate, which means ribbon. So if you had like a long ribbon on a stick and you just pull the stick side to side, the ribbon would end up making a figure of 8. So this is the feeling here. You're just doing something quite simple, but it's creating this connected, flowing figure of 8 movement. So what we want to is what we want to try and catch is what we need to do internally to actually release the energy from these joints. Okay. So something in me has to really break to just allow this, it's like a little door at the back that just sort of opens up and then energy can flow out. And then again, this one here just sort of opens up. 1 and 2. Yeah, so we just start off doing an exercise that's very simple. And just repeat and repeat. And relax into it. And if you can just keep the mind, relatively on the job without being too focused in a hard way, then the exercise will generate energy. And then that energy starts, if you like, teaching your body how to do it better. So by the time you've finished, 5 or 10 minutes of this, you're energized, but also your body has learned how to do this better than it started. Just and now let's just, so basically it's just this exercise of just breaking here. And then the buttocks dropping. So, but sort of one at a time. So we'll just try it a few times, just both together. Yeah, so just feel the little tailbone. So your little tailbone is sticking out backwards a bit. And then you just let it drop down. But you don't want it to drop down because of any muscles around it that have worked. If anything, it's here. It's you're just pulling the belly in slightly to let it drop. This should sort of almost want to happen. This bit here now. Getting it to drop is, you have to do something, basically. So just relaxing here. So my little tail just goes out. And then I just drop. And it comes sort of under. And then again, breaking goes out. And again, under. And just use the heartbeat. Yeah? You just have that counting all the time. It's like a little pump. And now, same thing, but without the hands. Yeah? So just sending the tail back, and then let it cut down and under. And then back, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2. So breaking here allows the energy to come in from the front, but also allows the energy from the back to come out. And then dropping the tail and pulling it under brings the energy round, either around the sides like this or underneath or even over the top. Yeah. So you're breaking back, 1, 2, 3, 4, and around 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you do them both together, it tends to come under and over. And so the way we started, we were bringing it round to the sides, which is more realistic. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And now let's just go back to this a little bit. So now you're just breaking one side, and then here to bring it around, and then here, and then the tail under, or if you like, the tail around. Yeah. So just breaking here, and then bringing the tail around, breaking here, and then bringing that tail, the tail to come out the right side, my side. So, and then 1, 2, and 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. So we're using the body to make movements of energy. Yeah, so there's not much happening in the body. The body's just sort of not moving very much, but there's a lot happening in the energy. This is what we want. If you look at some of those old-fashioned Tai Chi styles, they're so minimal. You see the old masters on YouTube. Yeah, they're just basically just moving like this. But obviously they're doing a lot with their energy. Just the body is just very subtle. Yeah, so 1, and 2, 1. So once it starts opening up, becoming energetic, not in the sense of this, but in the sense of energy flowing, what we want to do is just feel it. Feel what I call the emotional profile. So how does that movement of energy, how does it make you feel? What's happening here as I'm doing all this in my hips? Yeah? And so we're using the body to move the energy in order to generate feelings. So with that sort of training, you can then operate the other way as well. So the feelings, if you get those feelings inside for whatever reason, then they will generate the flows of energy. So to start with, we get the feeling coming from the energy, but eventually it works the other way around. There's that beautiful story of Yong Shen Ho, who was John's teacher's teacher's teacher. The story of him just inside, I don't know what he was doing, but someone came in to give him the temple news that his daughter had just died. And he just apparently just came off the ground a couple of centimeters, just levitated momentarily. Yeah? So it's like that sort of, that news just took him to a state of feeling that just produced this energy that caused him to do something unusual. Let's just try sort of the same thing, but just with a yield. Yeah. So we want to get away from the idea of turning the waist being something that you do to evade a blow. So it's not really that. That may be a byproduct, but the main reason you turn the waist is to generate these flows of energy. Yeah. So if there's a blow coming in, so first of all, I have to reach forwards, and then I have to turn this way. But I turn this way in order to draw the energy in, not in order to get out of the way so the person can come rushing through. Yeah. So I'm extending, and then here I'm breaking here, which is causing a turn in this direction. There's no need for it, really. In fact, the Tai Chi master was using it. The actual turn physically would be negligible. Yeah? So that what the break here creates up this suction and this hole, if you like a sink for the energy to go through. And then I have to bring that energy back round to get it involved, because what I'm trying to do is bundle the person up. I don't want to just turn and bring them through. So I'm extending, and then I just break here. Yeah. So you're doing the same thing. So just breaking here and then bringing this down. So just feel how the breaking here creates a flow in this direction, and how breaking here creates a flow in the other direction. Now we're just putting those two together to make a circle. So 1 and 2, 1, 2. So it's exactly the same as what we were doing before, but just visualizing a potential attack. Yeah, so here 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So just sort of feel its intimacy. So you're dealing with someone that's got inside your ward-off space. Yeah? So they're really close. Make sure you're coming into this leg. Yeah? So without that, you don't have a root for it. This side. Yeah, so what we have to make sure is that what we do is in response. It's a response to someone else. It's not just something that I decide to do or I plan to do. Yeah, so what's your conditioned response upon meeting another energy? So it should be this just sort of breaking and just letting that energy come in, with no sense of bashing against it and no sense of running away from it. So I just break here. So it's like suddenly there's a fold here, and this energy can just come in. And then if I turn with it, I'll just take it down to the ground, and then I can whip it back out. Yeah? So even though this is breaking and I'm turning, because of the nature of this break, because it's tipping here, it's actually making me spill, if you like, my heart out to the other person as they're coming in. So I'm not, it's not defensive in the normal way. It's sort of compassionate, you know? breaking here. So this break is allowing something in, but it's also getting me to sort of just, so it's very sort of listening. So it's definitely, like, someone you're with, suddenly sort of tripped up or something bad happened. They had an accident. So what's your immediate response? It's basically to sort of, to let something in you leap out. And for that something to leap out, there has to have been a release. And it's these places here. It's the break in the hip that allows your heart to leap forwards. Yeah. So, and now let's just try it. So one, this isn't quite so. The problem with doing exercises like this, that it just becomes pat quite quickly. It just becomes routine. So you just have to really try and feel it. And just try and feel the difference in the two sides. So that's key really to splitting the two sides of the body up, is just to let them be themselves. And they're quite different, the two sides of your body. Ooh. Ooh. So I'm yielding, letting something come in. And then I'm just enveloping that. 1, 2. Let's go back to you. Just feel the two sides of the body. One side is trying to flow down here, and one side is trying to flow down. Now let's just try getting into the breath of it. So you can breathe out or breathe in here, it doesn't matter, but just do the opposite here. So normal breathing is just breathing out there, and then breathing in. So the breath makes things continuous. So it's this sort of just this long, flowing, lazy energy. And then the heart is like just this bang, bang, bang that's laid on top of that. So this is like the analog. And then the heart is like the digital. It's like this sort of pump, these sort of little explosions that just happen in a continuous but intermittent stream. Now the same thing, but just sinking and rising. 1 and 2. Sinking down. Pushing up. So feel how the sinking down makes you even more open here, and how the pushing up straightens the legs, which brings the knees in. So just feel the knees. So my knees going out, and then just pushing the heels down. 1, 2. Just try and feel the legs. So your legs are like the trampoline. So here I'm sinking into the trampoline. But it's the same. If you push your hand into a trampoline skin, then the trampoline will receive your hand, but it's always trying to push it back. So this is what we want to feel from the legs. The legs aren't holding. The legs are pushing. They're surging upwards. So I'm just playing with that. I'm playing with the dead weight, if you like, of the upper body, playing against that buoyant springiness in the legs. So I'm here, I'm just letting my body just sink down into the legs, but the legs are trying their best to throw it back. Yeah, so this is very much like a really sort of slow motion trampoline. And so for this to work, the legs just have to be strong enough so that it's not the pain that's bringing you up. It's the spring in the leg. So this should feel almost like a resting phase, like you could actually just settle down here and quite happily just sort of remain like this for a minute or so. Ooh. Okay, now let's turn with it. So just sinking down into the springy legs. And now instead of letting them bring you up, just let them turn. So this leg is pushing this hip in that direction. This leg is pushing this hip in that direction. And now just relax it back. Sinking down and So we really want to feel the twist, the turn. So there's no sense of moving in the direction that I'm facing. So I'm not doing this. It's all the turn. I'm just trying to feel that turn. Like the two hands trying to wrap around you. And then sinking down and just again, just feel the turning, pulling this apart. Relax and sink down. So this is yielding and coiling. So here I'm yielding something through, but my other side of my body is coiling around me. So it's very intimate. So it's for dealing with someone who's just really close. I remember John once saying to me, he said, I learned old man's Tai Chi from the arm and sick man's Tai Chi from Dr. Chi. So it's like what we learned from John was like intimate Tai Chi, because he was virtually so short-sighted, he couldn't see any further than this. And so he needed to bring things in really close to have any sense of involvement. So this is what this is, something in here is just opening up and accepting. It's very feminine. And relax and down and just feel the two hips trying to passage. Yeah, so this is really pushing around, but this is really pushing back. So first sink to load the springs, and then let the springs turn you. This side of my body is trying to do this, and this side of my body is trying to do this. Yeah, so there's that. There's a lot of tension in the back. You know, the right sort of tension. So, the yielding here produces an attack. And it's all turning. There's no sense of going back, there's no sense of going forward, not on net value anyway. If something is going back, something is coming forward equally. A couple of those are just sinking down and forward. Now back to right across. And now let's just try a little bit of just drawing the belly. So as you pull in here, be aware of the tightening, but feel the main point. The men. That's just opposite your navel on the spine, sort of between L1 and L2, the lumbar vertebra. So that's called the gate of life, that point, the acupuncture point. And it's considered very important. So just have your mind there rather than in the down chin so much. You tighten here, obviously. So just feel the main sort of spreading. Yeah, like it's a sphincter and it's just opening to let something out. And then here, it just tightens back again. So pulling the belly in, feeling the point on the back opening. So everything's squeezing into it and issuing out, and then just tightening that. And this is now expanding. And then just count it again to the heartbeat. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, Now let's try this one. So the heart and the back just opposite that point. So now just pulling into here. So just it's like you pull the shoulder blades round to pull this right in. So it's like really hollowing the chest. And then just tighten the back and pull the shoulder blades together and bring the elbows right back. So this is now opening and popping out. And then you just pull that back in here. And then the back. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So the breathing is more connected with the chi, if you like. So it's like bringing, when you breathe in, you're bringing the world into your lungs. And then when you breathe out, you're sending something of yourself out. So you're really communicating with the outside world through the breathing. Whereas the heartbeat is much more to do with just your own internal workings. So it's just your own vitality and your own spirit. Yeah, so the chi would be considered the feminine, and then the heart would be considered the masculine, so the yang. The chi would be the yin. And this one here, so just pulling, so you have to sort of use your imagination to get into this one. So just pulling this point in and tightening the forehead. Feeling the back of the head opening up, and then just pulling the back of the head. And letting the forehead just spread. So again, 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So this would be sort of closing the eyes. So everything goes dark. And then this would be sort of opening the eyes. Yeah, so this is why the front points are associated with light and the back points are associated with darkness. So it's like out of your back comes like a dark energy, dark in the sense that it's sort of invisible to you. You just have to sort of feel it around your shoulders. Belly, heart, good. And then the name. then between the shoulder blades, and then the very back of the skull where the spine comes up and meets the skull. So belly, so dantian really, and then into the heart, and then into the middle of the brain. And then tightening the mid-neck, so just opposite the navel. And then the shoulder blades really pitching together. And then the back of the head bunching up. It's almost like you pull your shoulders up a bit, just to tighten that area. And then here, 1 and 2 and 3. And then just for 4, just bring the mind into the crown. Yeah? And then mid-neck, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Yeah, just kind of take that. Okay, so that just sort of cleans the spine. Spinal hygiene. Yeah, so that your spine is just really fluid and flexible. So the spine becomes like an antenna that's receiving messages from everywhere, but it's also giving out. Yeah, so this is very much like this is how they use think. Yeah, so you're just standing here or sitting, if you prefer, and you're just receiving messages and you're just transmitting something, but it's not, it's not coming from you, it's coming through you from the ground. So you're bringing something out, and then you're also just receiving from the heavens and into the earth. So you're a two-way channel all the time. And for that, the spine needs to be just really relaxed so that every vertebra can move relative to its neighbours. And the difficult part of the spine is just the neck, really. So it's just being able to just let this, because we're so used to just keeping the head still, either to see clearly or to think clearly. So really, the head should be moved. You should look a bit like you're a bit drunk. So the head's just sort of waving around a bit. So just feel, let's put one hand on the back, one hand on the belly. So one hand sort of down chin, just underneath the navel, really. Don't worry about locating the down chin properly. And just have this hand on the back is just opposite it. So you really want to get a feeling for the mid-leg. It's basically the small of the back. So now just tighten here a little bit and just pull, feel how your lower back, which is curving in slightly, just pushes out into your hand. Yeah? And then just relax here. And then again, just tighten here and just let the lower back spread into the hand. Yeah, so you can do this when you're lying down as well. Now let's just turn it. So let's start off. So knocking the gate of light. Yeah? So this exercise where we just turn the waist side to side. But we're allowing the fists to strike. So this fist strikes here, and then the back fist strikes the middle man. Yeah? So you just but gently. There's definitely impact. It's a pure turning. You're just turning around your own spine. No sense of backwards or forwards. You've got the breathing. And then within that, you've got the heartbeat. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And just back to the breath. And let's just come back to the heart. 1, 2, 1, 2. And so this is your own pump. So this is a great exercise, but you have to do it a long time. And it'll just take you really deep to like the source of your own power, if you like. And you can do it sitting down or lying down. And now just relax. And just put the mind in the sacrum. And so inside the sacrum, there's like something that we're trying to rouse. It's like a sort of mischievous image. So John used to work on this a lot. And so just you want this. So when we're using the legs properly, then it's like we're just introducing these sort of shearing actions into the sacrum. But now we just want to just relax and just feel like there's like a life inside that bone. It's like there's a stirring, and something is beginning to sort of. And there's a part of your mind that directs it. It's like a sort of really sort of bloody-minded, almost destructive element. So you can just let the mind sort of tighten a little bit, and you will get this, something inside there begins to move. So this is what we're trying, this is what we're looking for, really. So spirit. Yeah, so we'd like to be able to wake that up without any tension. So I love that story of Chopin when he was on his deathbed. And his friends came around, wanted him to play, and he couldn't stand up. So they dragged him to the piano stool and just sat him down. And he just started playing, and just suddenly he was just capable. So that's basically spirit. So something in him just came alive despite his absolute physical decrepitude. And suddenly, he was able to create this event. He was able to create an occasion to remember and to retell. So that's basically from that energy sort of generated down here. It lives down here, and then it just comes up into everything that you do. Yeah, so this is why we do so much work on the tail. Yeah. So just really it just wakens this area up. Yeah. So it's like the magic ingredient spirit. Whenever you're confused or finding things difficult, then you just need an injection of the magic ingredients, and suddenly everything will just come. So it's spirit that lets athletes get into the zone. Yeah? And when you meet someone that's in that area, in that zone, then they just have such good energy. So that's suddenly they're a superhero. They're challenged, they're transformed into something that they're not normally. Artists know all about it. Yes, so when you wake this up, it feels like you put on your outfit. It's like you've got your cape and or whatever. So all that time at Blakeney, John was just investigating this energetic body that we have, with the mane, the horns, and the wings. And so like the devil body. And so it's this energy here. It's like your tail. It's like your big tail just beginning to erupt. Yeah? So what would you have to do in this area to sort of squeeze that tail out? Yeah? So something in you would have to really sort of charge up. So it's like those movies where the werewolf, yeah? So the guy who changes into a wolf, and just the absolute ecstasy, but the agony and the ecstasy together that cause this transformation. So can we generate that sort of momentary passion to actually spring into like a different reality? That's what this is all about. Okay. Yes.